They built a runway through my cornfield while I was on vacation. I'm not kidding. Imagine driving up your family's gravel road after 6 months away, just wanting that old familiar peace, and seeing bulldozers plowing straight through land your granddad first planted 40 years ago. That's how it started, with a shock that hit me right in the gut. And then this woman, high heels, crisp white suit, not a speck of dust on her steps out of a BMW like she owns the horizon. She gives me this look, the one like I'm the help or maybe a stray dog who wandered too close to her car. You should really consider relocating somewhere more appropriate, she says, as if she's doing me a favor by handing me $5,000 for the trouble of destroying my family's crops. Thing is, I've seen arrogance before, plenty of times, but the way she spoke flat, cold, dismissive just told me this was her normal. She had no clue that she was picking a fight with the man who controls the very air above her precious little project. Yeah, let that hang there for a second. So, here's the setup. My name's James Anderson, and this farm in Oklahoma has been my family's for generations. I left my job in 25 years managing airspace for the entire country, hoping to trade FAA deadlines for honest dirt under my nails. Instead, I come home to survey flags everywhere, crews carving up our land, and a construction project so big you'd think it was a military base, not a housing development. That same woman, Patricia Brown, hands me a slick invoice for an aviation community development fee. $5,000 due in 2 weeks, or else. Premium communities, premium contributions, she says with a grin. Her idea of a threat. You know what I thought, looking at her and all that earth-moving chaos? Someone's either got permission from the feds, or they're running a con so bold they figure no one will call them on it. But I know this airspace 15 miles from Tulsa International, square in the middle of Class D, which means no private airstrip gets built here without more paperwork than the IRS in April. I mention airspace regulations. She waves it off her people handle the details. She says, like I'm too simple to understand how real business works. The irony? She's lecturing the FAA's deputy director on federal aviation law, thinking she's above it all. I step aside, dial my old office, and make sure she hears every word. Federal violation. Comprehensive enforcement. Patricia Brown. Timeline acceleration. Her face tightens. Not fear, not yet, but that edge people get when they realize the game might be bigger than they thought. A few days later, Patricia holds this big HOA meeting, charts, renderings, the whole show. She's pitching a premium aviation community to the old-timers who built this neighborhood. Margaret Thompson, retired teacher, stands up and says what everyone's thinking: you can't just kick us out because we're old or don't have cash for fancy improvements. Patricia doesn't even blink. Demographics evolve. She says, adapt or find another community. Real ice queen. That night, Margaret knocks on my door in tears, clutching a fine for $600 wrong mailbox, supposedly. Her box hasn't moved in 15 years. This isn't about aesthetics. It's about forcing out folks who can't afford to fight back, picking off the weak one by one. Patricia isn't just arrogant. She's methodical, and what she's doing is a federal crime. But here's where things get interesting. Patricia's acting like she's got the world on a string, but I spot cracks her hands shake. Her voice jumps when anyone asks about money. Word around town is she's mortgaged her house, borrowed $200,000 from some outfit called Premium Development Partners, people with a reputation for making their money back one way or another. Patricia's burning through cash, living big on credit, and counting on this project to bail her out. And then she brings in an aviation consultant, Captain Steve Wilson. Now, Steve's nobody's fool. First thing he does is point out the obvious: this airstrip is illegal, dangerous, and a lawsuit waiting to happen. He quizzes me on airspace regs, trying to figure out if I'm just a lucky farmer or someone who knows more than he's letting on. I play dumb as much as I can, but Steve's got a nose for trouble. You don't talk like a compliance clerk, he tells me later. You talk like somebody who's written the rules. I shrug it off, but he's not buying it. Patricia's desperation is boiling over posting pictures of elderly folks' homes online as renovation opportunities, turning the neighborhood against itself. But the seniors fight back, forming a group called Protect Our Neighbors. The battle lines are drawn. Pressure builds. Steve's respect for safety finally outweighs his business interests, and he tells Patricia flat out he won't certify her airstrip. If you push this, people will die, and you'll have federal agents on your back before the runway dries. She panics her investors are coming to town for a big demonstration, and if she can't pull it off, she's finished. Patricia scrambles, planning a public event ribbon cutting, news cruise, the whole circus. She's betting everything that she can bluff her way through, hoping the feds are too slow or too far away to stop her. But I've spent my career setting traps for folks who think they can outsmart the government. Sometimes you have to let them walk right into it. Friday comes. The event's a spectacle: white tents, politicians, TV cameras, an airplane circling for a landing. Patricia's beaming, ready to make her big speech about overcoming small minds and building a legacy. That's when I step forward, old work boots, farm hat, and all. She tries to brush me off. Not now, Mr. Anderson. But I just walk to the mic, pull out my badge, and let the crowd see it: Federal Aviation Administration, Deputy Director. You could hear a pin drop. My name is James Anderson. I say, and I oversee every inch of American airspace. What you've built here is an illegal airstrip, in violation of multiple federal statutes. The crowd erupts. Patricia goes white as a sheet. Her investors panic, waving contracts and yelling about fraud. The TV crews are loving every second. I pick up my phone, call Tulsa Tower on speaker. Aircraft inbound to unauthorized strip divert, deny all landing clearances. The controller answers instantly. Roger, Deputy Director Anderson. Aircraft diverted. No landings approved. That's when the local sheriff arrives with a stack of federal violation notices and a cease and desist order. I rip down the ribbon on live TV, tell the cameras, this facility is closed for good for safety violations and harassment of vulnerable residents. It's chaos: investors demanding money back, seniors cheering, Patricia frozen in shock. Within days, her house is surrounded by news vans, her accounts are frozen, and her friends disappear. The garden she wanted to pave becomes a community plot with a big sign, all neighbors welcome. Dignity required. Margaret Thompson takes over as HOA president, rewriting the rules to protect the people Patricia tried to erase. And Patricia? She loses everything. Foreclosure, lawsuits, the works. Her kids change their names to dodge the Google results. She ends up working retail, driving by the old coffee shop every day, where they hung my photo under a headline. Too bad I'm the director. Folks come by just to see it, and to remember never judge a farmer by his coveralls, and never underestimate a community that stands up for its own. People still ask me if I feel bad for what happened to her. All I can say is, you reap what you sow. Maybe next time someone thinks about running a scheme like this, they'll remember that federal law protects everyone, especially the ones you think can't fight back. So, what do you think? Was justice served, or did it go too far? Drop your take in the comments. And if you've ever seen a bully get what's coming to them, you know just how sweet that final moment can be. Stick around for the next story. Justice always finds its way home.